Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, Mike Lindell sent me a note yesterday. He has a special for the 6-piece towel set, $25 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. You'll get the $25 offer on the 6-piece towel set, and I promise you, these will be the most comfortable, the most absorbent towels that you own. mypillow.com, use promo code Joey, get the 6-piece towel set for just $25. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Nearly 100 illegal immigrants on the terror watch list have been released into the United States during the Biden administration, according to a report by Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee. Also, as a result, the Biden migrant flight program is under intense pressure to disband after the revelation of massive fraud. Federal court rules against Google in a landmark antitrust case, which could change the way the tech giant does business. And today's the day that we most likely will learn of who's going to be joining the Harris ticket, as she is holding a rally in Philadelphia and has promised that her running mate will be disclosed today and will join her on this multi-city tour that kicks off today. And Wall Street saw a bloodbath yesterday as the Dow, Nasdaq plummeted with renewed recession fears, triggering a global sell-off of stocks.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Thank you, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Nearly 100 illegal immigrants on the terror watch list have been released into the U.S. during the Biden administration. These are the ones that we know of. These are the ones that have been released, or the information has been released. The report by Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee wrote, under the Biden-Harris administration, of the more than 250 illegal aliens on the terrorist watch list who were encountered by Border Patrol at the southwest border between fiscal years 2021 and 2023, DHS has released into American communities at least 99, with at least 34 others in DHS custody, but not yet removed from the United States. The staff interim report also found that immigration judges granted bond to at least 27 migrants on the watch list who entered illegally, and that Border Patrol has encountered tens of thousands of migrants from countries that could present national security risk, including over 2,000 Afghan nationals, 33,000 plus Chinese nationals, over 500 Iranian nationals, over 500 Syrian nationals, and over 3,000 Uzbek nationals. The report says that does not include the untold numbers of potential terrorists that evaded Border Patrol to enter the United States as part of nearly 2 million gotaways since the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration. The report cited information provided to the committee staff in June as some hearings took place. Also found that Border Patrol had encountered migrants on the terror watch list from 36 different countries, including places with active terror presences like Afghanistan, Iraq, Lebanon, Pakistan, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, and the list goes on. The terrorist screening data set, known as TSDS, contained sensitive information on terrorist identities. It initially contained only known or suspected terrorists, but now also includes additional individuals who represent a potential threat to the U.S., including known affiliates of watch-listed individuals. The concern about potential terrorists has grown amid the ongoing crisis at the southern border because we just don't know who's coming into our country. We don't know what their intent is, although we suspect we know. We suspect that some of these folks who do not have good thoughts for Americans, who knows what they're doing here? They could be building these terrorist cell units for the next 9/11. According to the report, the number of encounters on the watch list has grown significantly as well, with the committee report finding a more than 3,000% increase of the encounters. Now, the Biden administration has accused Republicans of not providing enough funding and reforms to a broken system, while Republicans have put the crisis down to the rolling back of Trump-era policies by the Democrat administration. I believe what the Republicans are saying. We didn't have this problem under Donald Trump. We didn't have suspected terrorists getting into our country and being released in our communities. If they tried to come in, they were stopped, and they were returned to the country from which they came. It was just that simple. But we're too politically correct now. We have to. We're too sensitive to being accused of a racist country and turning people back from our border. Officials have warned about the high risk that terrorists may seek to enter through the southern border. That, of course, was on display when DHS identified over 400 individuals brought to the U.S. from Eastern European and Central Asian countries by an ISIS-affiliated smuggling network in the past several months. That came after 8 Tahitian nationals with ties to ISIS were busted by federal authorities in New York City, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia. All 8 came in via the southern border illegally, but no derogatory information was flagged during their processing. Because the Biden administration, they don't care. They have instructed the people that are part of these programs just to process them quickly, get a promise from them that they'll return on their court date and turn them loose. The Judiciary Committee report revealed that of those 8 Tahitian nationals, 3 were released after using the CBP One Phone application to schedule an appointment, and 4 were encountered by Border Patrol. Again, it's crazy that we have a Border Patrol system that provides an app with an application for them to schedule an appointment. That's just crazy. Also, the freezing of a controversial Biden parole program, which allows tens of thousands of illegals to travel into the U.S. each month, due to new revelations about fraud on the sponsor side. Conservatives are calling for the program to be scrapped altogether. The Department of Homeland Security has temporarily paused the issuing of advanced travel authorizations for this program, which allows up to 30,000 nationals from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to travel to the U.S. every month and enter legally under the administration's use of parole if they meet certain conditions. Speaker Mike Johnson said after learning of the fraud, shut it down permanently. This program should never have existed in the first place. It's just another way the Biden administration has welcomed hundreds of thousands of aliens into our country unchecked. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith from Mississippi said on X, more evidence of another failed Biden-Harris border policy. The only thing surprising is they're admitting it. And I agree with you there, Senator. It is surprising that they're admitting it and at least pausing it. I don't know if they'll shut it down permanently, which they should, but at least they're pausing it. Representative Eric Burleson, also on X, shut down the illegal CHNV parole program permanently and deport every single illegal alien, especially those the Biden-Harris regime has let in through this scheme. So here's what this is all about. The program allows those eligible to enter legally if they have a supporter in the U.S. and pass biographic and biometric vetting. Now, it doesn't provide flights. Migrants arrange their own travel. It does allow them to have work permits and live in the U.S. for 2 years. It was rolled out in early 2023. Now, what do you think is going to happen at the end of those 2 years? Do you think that these people, if they haven't been accepted with it to start the immigration program legally, do you think they're just going to say, okay, sorry, my 2 years are up. I'm going to go back to where I came from. I'm going to go back to Venezuela? No. Do you think our federal government right now, under Biden, and if Kamala Harris is successful in November, will go after them and try to find them? No. This is why we need Donald Trump. This is because I can guarantee you a Trump administration will set up a program to track down every single one of these people and will deport them if they deserve to be deported. The pause came after an internal report found that forms from those applying to be supporters, and I would assume these are Americans, for this program, included information like Social Security numbers and zip codes being used hundreds of times. So they're duplicating these illegally just to get the money that's involved. Parts of the report shared with media by the Federation for American Immigration Reform, which is a conservative immigration group, show that over 100,000 forms were filled out by 3,218 serial sponsors, those whose number appears on 20 or more forms. They've turned it into a cottage industry. Now, these people can't, these 3,000 people can't sponsor more than one person. Not supposed to be. They're doing it to get the money. And the Biden administration, up until this point, they haven't cared. Hope you'll join the conversation today. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. You can leave a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Soon going to be 4 years ago that I started my journey with PhD weight loss and nutrition. I lost 30 pounds pretty quickly, I might add, and I've been able to maintain that for almost 4 years now. It'll be 4 years coming up in July. If this is the year that you have decided that you're going to get healthy, that you're going to lose that weight, that visceral fat that's so damaging around your waist, then now's the time to start. Let me encourage you to make that call today. 864-252-4925. Set up your initial consultation with PhD Weight Loss and Nutritionist. Boy, am I glad that I met Dr. Ashley Lucas 4 years ago and that she got me on the right path to getting healthy. You're going to be able to do things that you may have thought you'd never be able to do again. Play with the kids, the grandkids, be able to hike and walk and maybe play a full 18-round hole of golf and be able to do it and not get so winded. Because when you take that excess weight off, you're just going to feel better. You're going to be able to focus. You're going to be able to sleep better. Your overall health is just going to be improved. 864-252-4925. Call, set up your initial consultation. Find them online at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. Well, Google didn't have too good of a day yesterday as a federal court ruled against them in a landmark antitrust case. So here's what we know. The court's findings indicate that Google is a monopolist in the relevant markets and has unlawfully used its dominant position to sustain the monopoly. In a landmark legal decision, a federal judge ruled that Google violated antitrust laws by maintaining its monopoly power in the markets for general search services and general search text advertisements. The ruling issued yesterday by Judge Amit Mehta concludes a lengthy legal battle that was initiated by U.S. Department of Justice and a coalition of state attorneys general. Mehta's decision stated, after having carefully considered and weighed the witness testimony and the evidence presented, the court reached the following conclusion. Google is a monopolist, and it has acted as one to maintain its monopoly. It has violated Section 2 of the Sherman Act. So the case against Google was filed back in October of 2020, alleged that the tech giant engaged in anti-competitive practices by establishing exclusive agreements with browser developers, mobile device manufacturers, and wireless carriers, the cell phone companies that you and I use for our cell phone service. These agreements prohibited partners from pre-installing rival search engines, leading most U.S. devices to come preloaded exclusively with Google, forcing competitors to find alternative ways to reach users. Now, is this ringing a bell? Do you recall that maybe the last cell phone that you purchased may have only had Google on it? Not that you objected to it. In some cases, people didn't even think about it. But it is an easy way for Google to force you to use their service, because how many times did you just use it, not even thinking about it, and not even thinking of downloading an alternative? Now, I know many of you don't like the idea that Google is monitoring your searches. And so you've gone to alternatives like DuckDuckGo and others. But a lot of people never think about it. They think, oh, wow, look at this. Google's already on here. I don't have to go look for it. It's already on my phone. And they'll, for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, they'll use it exclusively because they don't think about an alternative. Look, I'm kind of guilty of it myself. I prefer iPhones, and it comes preloaded with Apple's Safari. Lots of times I just go to the default Safari, although I have other browsers. I have DuckDuckGo on there as well. But it's much easier to just use what they have pre-installed and pops up on your home screen automatically. In 2021, Google paid over $26 billion in revenue share agreements based on advertising revenue generated from these default placements. The court said that Google's conduct allowed the company to charge super competitive prices for general search text ads, enabling it to earn substantial monopoly profits. In other words, they kind of had, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, wasn't it? Because you purchase the phone from your cell phone carrier, you've got the Google search engine already on there, and you just use it. Again, not thinking of other alternatives, and they have a captive audience. You are then fed their ads. Despite Google's arguments that its practices were pro-competitive and justified by the quality of its services, the court found that these justifications were insufficient. Google said in a statement to the Epoch Times that, quote, this decision recognizes that Google offers the best search engine, but concludes that we shouldn't be allowed to make it easily available. Given this and that people are increasingly looking for information in more and more ways, we plan to appeal, Kent Walker, president of Google Global Affairs, said in the emailed statement. As this process continues, we will remain focused on making products that people find helpful and easy to use, he said. In recent years, antitrust lawsuits have also been filed against other big tech companies like Amazon, Meta, and Apple. The court is expected to impose measures to restore competitive conditions in the affected markets, which now leads me to another question, though. And I get the whole idea about not allowing a monopoly to happen. But do we really want our federal government getting involved with some of these large companies and potentially telling them how to conduct their business? Or do we let competition play out? Or is there really competition? I mean, that's what the court is saying, is that Google has no competition because they're able to keep their competition off of your phone or off of your computer, your laptop, your iPad, or whatever device you use. Closing arguments in the case were presented in early May. About 3 years ago, after or about 3 years after the legal action was initiated in the District of Columbia, the prosecutor from the Department of Justice, David Dahlquist, argued that Google's pricing, despite potential quality declines, was characteristic of a monopolist behavior. Now, Google's attorney highlighted the company's continuous innovation and competition with tech giants like Meta and TikTok. Now, that's the other point that we have to keep in mind here, is that if, in fact, the Department of Justice and the federal government comes in and they break up Google somehow or they divide it out, then they got to do the same thing for some of these other tech giants like Meta and TikTok, or they're just going to assume what Google is forced to give up, and they're going to get bigger. I'm not so sure that at some point we don't just have to realize that big tech is always going to be big tech. And yes, Google is a monopoly. They're not going to give it up voluntarily. But people do have a choice. We can go to a DuckDuckGo, but we have to be educated to do so, or we have to take the time to do it. It's a lot easier just to go with the apps that are preloaded on that phone. A major point of contention was whether Google's market position allowed it to dominate through default search engine agreements, which shared ad revenue with other partners, with other big tech companies like Apple, like Meta. I mean, they're all kind of in this together, aren't they? Does it bother you that Google is so big? Hope you'll join the conversation today. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. You can leave a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a new appliance, to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So today's the day that we will most likely find out who will be Vice President Kamala Harris's vice presidential running mate, whether we care or not. Democrat presidential candidate Kamala Harris, we are told, has narrowed her search for a vice presidential running mate to two finalists, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Three sources confirmed this matter late yesterday afternoon. We kind of suspected that Arizona Senator Mark Kelly was out of it when he posted on social media that he wanted to continue serving the people of Arizona. Then he deleted the post. But it kind of was a giveaway, wasn't it? That maybe either he knew he'd been taken off the list or he had chosen to be taken off the list. We should hear, based on what the vice president has been saying for over a week now, is that we would know today because her first scheduled public appearance with her running mate is scheduled for tonight at Temple University in Philadelphia. This rally will kick off a 5-day, 7-city tour of battleground states that will most likely decide the November 5th election. The choice of a running mate is one of the most consequential decisions of Harris's political career as she tries to quickly pull together an unexpected campaign, a campaign that she did not realize she was going to be part of until just about 2 weeks ago when Joe Biden officially withdrew his name as the Democrat Party nominee. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, he's 51. He's considered a rising star of the Democrat Party. He has strong approval ratings in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, of course, has 19 electoral votes, and it makes it a must-win for either Harris or Donald Trump. It's kind of hard to win the presidency and not win Pennsylvania. He's a former state attorney general, just like Kamala Harris. Shapiro, if chosen, would add to the ticket's historical significance. He'd be the country's first Jewish vice president, while Harris is seeking to become the first woman and the first whatever, Asian American or black. That's still up for debate. His strong support for Israel could alienate some progressive voters, and that's probably the only thing that has Kamala Harris pausing right now. She probably would love to choose Shapiro. She's probably struggling with the fact that he's Jewish and how she's going to break the news to her more progressive voters, because they're not going to be happy campers. It could also appeal to moderate voters, though, and Politico says it could defang Republican efforts to turn the Israel-Gaza war into a wedge issue for Democrats. It'll be interesting. I personally think that he's probably the choice. Now, how she's going to navigate this with the progressives in the party, I have no clue. I don't know how she does that. But I think that Josh Shapiro probably is her best choice. Now, you have Governor Walsh. He's 60 years old, closer to Kamala Harris's age. He's a U.S. Army National Guard veteran, a former teacher who has raised his profile in recent weeks as a very effective surrogate speaker for Harris. He's been out there very enthusiastically supporting Kamala Harris. He's attacked Trump and Vance as weird. He's the one who started this whole weird conversation, which is a viral insult the Harris campaign has embraced. He's a former member of Congress from a Republican-leaning district. Mr. Walsh has proven to appeal to the average person, white voters, though he's also championed progressive policies as governor, like free school meals, expanded paid worker leave. Minnesota is a solidly Democrat state. It borders Wisconsin and Michigan, which are also two crucial battleground states. So that would be a plus for him. He could potentially bring that region over to the Harris ticket. Speculation, of course, over the past 2 weeks, since she knew that she was going to have to make this decision, has focused on 6 finalists: 4 governors, a senator, and a cabinet secretary in the Biden administration. All white men with a record of winning over white and independent voters. In addition to Shapiro and Waltz, the other contenders, as I mentioned a minute ago, U.S. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, who I suspect either took himself out or realized that he wasn't even going to be in the final consideration and wanted to beat her to the draw. Quite often they do that. That's sort of a little game that's played. I suspect that's what happened with North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Because you remember last week I told you that he had withdrawn his name from being considered. He probably did that because he knew he really wasn't being considered. So rather than getting the news or allowing the news to go out that you were not chosen, then you just go ahead and take your name off the list. You make it very public that, hey, I will not serve if chosen. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was on that list as well. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. The candidates, we're told, was informed last night, so or maybe this morning, most likely last night. So that decision, somebody probably knows now as you and I are talking. Somebody probably knows that they're the choice and that later today they will be introduced to the country. The Harris campaign, we're told, plans a social media announcement featuring the duo. Most likely, I suspect they'll do some type of little catchy video or something that will roll out sometime today. Never know when that may happen. There were no immediate indication that yesterday's market sell-off and financial chaos impacted Harris's final announcement. Right now, it looks as though all systems will go for what's been planned for almost 2 weeks now. That today will be announced. Tonight they'll be together in Philadelphia. Over the weekend, we're told Harris met with her vetting team, including former Attorney General Eric Holder, whose law firm Covington and Burling scrutinized the finances and background of potential running mates. Holder and his office made in-depth presentations on each of the finalists, according to multiple sources within the Harris circle. We're told that Harris was weighing the decision with her husband, Doug Emhoff, brother-in-law Tony West, and a small circle of aides and advisors. On her Battleground States tour that will kick off tonight, Harris and whoever this running mate is will hit 7 cities in 5 days, starting tonight in Philadelphia. Then they'll move on to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Detroit, Michigan, Durham, North Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and Las Vegas, Nevada. They will hold rallies in each location along the tour, which will include college campuses, historically black universities, union halls, and restaurants. Over the weekend, the Harris campaign launched a program to try to persuade Republican voters to support the Democrat and showcased endorsements from Republicans, including former Trump White House officials Stephanie Grisham and Olivia Troy, two malcontents. Well, why is it, you think, people like Stephanie Grisham, who worked in the Trump White House? I get it. Maybe something happened and you're not just enthusiastic about another Trump administration. But why would you want to go public by endorsing someone as far to the left as Kamala Harris is? Why not just be quiet about it? Why not just stay at home and keep your mouth shut? The program, called Republicans for Harris, will hold kickoff events in the battleground states of Arizona, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania this week. Yesterday, Harris got another union endorsement with the Hospitality Workers Union, praising her as having a long-standing record of delivering for union workers. Now, this just kind of shows you again of how useless a union is. Now, Donald Trump wants to eliminate taxes on tips, which those hospitality workers who are part of this union would benefit from. What do they want? They're going to support Kamala Harris because they want a California-style minimum wage. They want like a $20 minimum wage across the nation. If that happens, we're going to see what has happened in California. Fast food restaurants will close. People will lose their jobs. Hope you'll join the conversation today. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. You can leave a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Ace writes, President Trump was using Kamala Harris's heritage statements as an example of her confusion. She'll use whatever helps her twisted agenda. This is typical of the left. They'll call anyone a racist if it will boost their goal. Have a great week, Joey. You're right, Ace. You're so right. I read an article yesterday. I forget who wrote it. They kind of chronicled the rise of Kamala Harris and how she got to where she is today. And the summation was, it's not because she's a smart person. It's not because she's done all these great things. It's her ability to network. She's always managed to be at the right place at the right time. I mean, she failed the bar exam on the first round. Now, I guess to her, in fairness to her, a lot of people fail the bar exam on the first round. But those who parade around as legal scholars and she likes to talk about how she is just a great prosecutor and a great legal mind, I don't think you would fail the bar exam your first time. I don't think law comes naturally to her. Jennifer writes, and this is a good one here. Hey, I don't know whether or not you've already seen this, but I posted it on my Facebook page over the weekend and got a message from a friend today that she had also posted it on her Facebook page, and it's been removed. She said that a friend of hers also posted it. Now her post has been taken down as well. So I don't know if mine will be taken down or not, but this girl really nails it. Well, Jennifer, you're not the only one who sent that to me. I've got a number of people who sent this to me, and I want to share it with you. It's going to take a couple of minutes here, but it kind of nails the situation of where we are now. Let me set it up for you. It's a young girl. She's not identified, who talks about the America that we find ourselves living in today. Take a minute to listen.
I never dreamed that I would have to face the prospect of not living in the United States of America, at least not the one I've known all my life. I've never wished to live anywhere else. This is my home, and I was privileged to be born here. But today I woke up, and as I had my morning coffee, I realized that everything is about to change. No matter how I vote, no matter what, I say something evil has invaded our nation, and our lives are never going to be the same. I've been confused by the hostility of family and friends. I look at people I've known all my life, so hate-filled that they agree with opinions they would never express as their own. I think I may have, entered the twilight zone. We become a nation that has lost its collective mind. You can't justify this insanity. If a guy pretends to be a woman, you're required to pretend with him. Somehow, it's un-American for the census to count how many Americans are in America. Russians influencing our elections are bad, but illegals voting in our elections are good. It was cool for Joe Biden to blackmail the president of Ukraine, but it's an impeachable offense if Donald Trump inquires about it. 20 is too young to drink a beer, but 18 is old enough to vote. People who've never owned slaves should pay slavery reparations to people who have never been slaves. People who have never been to college should pay the debts of college students who took out huge loans for their degrees. Immigrants with tuberculosis and polio are welcome, but you'd better be able to prove your dog is vaccinated. Irish doctors and German engineers who want to immigrate to the U.S. must go through a rigorous vetting process, but any illiterate gangbangers who jump the southern fence are welcome. $5 billion for border security is too expensive, but $1.5 trillion for free healthcare is not. If you cheat to get into college, you go to prison, but if you cheat to get into the country, you go to college for free. People who say there is no such thing as gender are demanding a female president. We see other countries going socialist and collapsing, but it seems like a great plan to us. Some people are held responsible for things that happened before they were born, and other people are not held responsible for what they're doing right now. Criminals are caught and released to hurt more people, but stopping them is bad because it's a violation of their rights. And pointing out all this hypocrisy somehow makes us racist. Nothing makes sense anymore. No values, no morals, and no civility. People are dying of a Chinese virus, but it's racist to refer to it as Chinese even though it began in China. We're clearly living in an upside-down world where right is wrong and wrong is right, where moral is immoral and immoral is moral, where good is evil and evil is good, where killing murderers is wrong but killing unborn babies is A-okay. Wake up, America. The great unsinkable ship, Titanic America, has hit an iceberg, is taking on water, and is sinking fast. Speak up.
Now, again, I don't know who this young lady is, but she nails it. Thank you, Jennifer, and the others who shared this with me. If you want to watch this or listen to it again, well, a couple ways. You can go back and listen on my podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just search for Joey Hudson, Just the Truth. Or go to my Facebook page, and I shared the post on Facebook as well. Just go to Facebook, search for Joey Hudson. And what I want you to do is to share this with all of your friends as well. I'd love for you to go to my Facebook page, like it, comment on it, and share it as well. And particularly to those people who may be waffling a bit, who are not quite sure of who they should vote for in November. They need to rethink about this. They need to think about every single item that she covers. Texter says, yeah, right, next to the monument of Trump's rear end. This in response to Nancy Pelosi suggesting that Joe Biden should be put on Mount Rushmore. I got a lot of comments on that one, by the way. Texter says, cackling Kamala may not have done it press conference, but she hasn't been to, hasn't done a press conference, but she hasn't been to Europe either. Nope, she hasn't. Texter, what does her birth certificate say she is? I think her birth certificate says Indian, but I couldn't be. Trump posted a copy of that. I'll have to go back and look at that. Texter, vice president candidate. What that is really when the label took hold when she started running as vice president. Yes, you're right. That's when she really became black. because she needed to be the first black female vice president. Texter says, let's not forget the old man who anointed the first black female. I'm assuming you're talking about Joe Biden. Texter, she'll be puppeted to bring in the one world government. Look, I can tell you, Barack Obama, which, I was surprised because you'll recall he was the last holdout. He was hesitant to endorse Kamala Harris. And I couldn't quite figure that out because he's been sort of a mentor of hers. And I would have thought that Barack Obama would have been first on the list because I would suspect he would want to try to control her, unless maybe he thinks that he can't control her, that she thinks or likes to think she has a mind of her own, that she's independent. I don't know. Texture says, listen to what Trump is saying. He's not saying there's a problem with her skin color. It's that she's lying about it. Jamaicans aren't black people. Blacks associate with those from Africa, or am I missing something? No, you're not missing anything. Not at all. Texter, Joey, Kamala's change in race goes to her authenticity, reflects her character of say or be anything to suit the moment 23 years later. And that's, I think, the biggest problem with most people. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way than encouraging them to listen to Just the Truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. We're back again tomorrow. Hope you will be too. Remember, God's got this. He's still in control.